Welcome to Readville. With 2 levels of tracks, high-speed trains, an abandoned branch, and much more. Come along as I explore what makes Readville so unique, as well as why it's one of the most popular spots for rail fans in the Boston area.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Readville. Now, the first thing you'll notice here is that there's almost like 2 levels of tracks. There's the Northeast Corridor tracks down here, and there's the track for some Franklin Foxborough line trains up here. And the rest of the Franklin Foxborough line trains, they use a track, as well as the Fairmount line trains, they use a track on the upper level over there.
Now the interesting thing about Readville is that from here, there are 2 routes trains can take to South Station. One is by way of the electrified Northeast Corridor through Hyde Park, Forest Hills, Ruggles, and Back Bay. This was the only route until 1979, when the Dorchester branch, now the Fairmount line, was restored as a detour for trains when the Northeast Corridor was under construction. Although originally intended to be temporary, the Fairmount line is now permanent and sees some of the best service on the entire commuter rail network, with trains every half hour on weekdays, or at least, that's how it's supposed to be. Unfortunately, as of the time I'm visiting, construction is drastically reducing frequencies during midday hours. Anyways, let's talk about service patterns here. Amtrak's Northeast Regional and Acela trains pass through here at high speeds. I'm not sure exactly what speed they travel, but the track speed is 120 miles an hour, so I think it's safe to assume they're traveling at least 100 miles an hour. As for the MBTA commuter rail, the Providence-Stoughton line trains always go to South Station via the Northeast Corridor, with one weekday exception, which I'll talk about later. On weekdays, most Providence-Stoughton line trains pass through here, but on weekends, they all stop here. Fairmount line trains have a very simple operation. They run between South Station and Readville via the Fairmount line, and use this platform to deboard and board before turning around. However, trains of the Franklin Foxborough line have the most confusing patterns of any of the lines. On weekdays, most trains run to South Station via the Northeast Corridor using this track, which connects the Franklin line to the Northeast Corridor. However, a few weekday trains go via the Fairmount line. The connection to the Fairmount line is via this bridge over the Northeast Corridor tracks. On weekends, all Franklin Foxborough line trains go via the Fairmount line.
But there's one more track connection which I haven't talked about yet. This track leads from the Fairmount line over to the Northeast Corridor. You can't really see it from here, but that leads to the Northeast Corridor. This track is only ever used by one weekday outbound train.
That train is train number 991, departing South Station at 11:05 p.m. for Stoughton. It makes all local stops on the Fairmount line up until Fairmount. However, it doesn't actually stop here at Readville, because the connecting track branches off before the Fairmount line platform. I have no idea why train 991 runs via the Fairmount line, and what's even stranger is that there is no corresponding inbound train which takes this route. If anyone knows the reason behind this weird phenomenon, please let me know in the comments. While I have covered all the operations of passenger trains here, there are still a few more things to talk about. First, just east of the station off the Fairmount line is Readville Yard, a major yard for the south side.
Here, I've come to Readville Yard. This is a major yard for the MBTA commuter rail south side, where sets are assembled.
But this is just one of the 2 yards here.
Now, I've come back to the Fairmount line platform. From here, you can see CSX Readville Yard. Readville Yard is significant since it is the last active freight yard in Boston proper. Today, I'm trying to see CSX L010, a weekday local between Framingham and here.
In the morning, L010 exits the yard by the Fairmount line platform, then reverses onto the Franklin line, using the bridge which connects the Fairmount line to the Franklin line. In the afternoon, L010 will do the opposite, coming from the Franklin line, crossing over the bridge through the Fairmount line platform and then into a siding, then reversing into Readville Yard. Now I've covered all active lines, but Readville also has an abandoned line. Let's take a look.
All right, so right now I'm on the track which connects the Northeast Corridor to the Franklin line. But if we walk down here, down these stairs, we come to some abandoned tracks. And these are the tracks of the old Dedham branch. They split off from the Northeast Corridor over there and then turned west. And right now the tracks end at that road, but the right-of-way to Dedham still exists.
Let's take a look at the platforms at Readville and what they have to offer.
All right, so this is the track which connects the Northeast Corridor to the Franklin line. And here you can see we have Spanish solution platforms, as well as a mini high-level platform up here. Now, the strange thing is, once I was waiting for an inbound train on this platform, and I was waiting on the mini high-level platform, but when the train came, they only opened their doors on the other side. I guess where I went wrong was when I expected the MBTA to be logical. Also, one more thing of note is this old information display board, which is now just empty. Now for the Northeast Corridor platforms. The Northeast Corridor platforms have mini high levels on the southernmost end, and the rest of the platforms are completely low level and are quite long. The middle track is only used for trains passing through the station, or at least that's what I thought up until when I saw this today. Now it's interesting to note that while the Northeast Corridor is 3 tracks through the station, just down there, south of the station, it becomes 2 tracks. That means this track closest to us is only ever used for outbound trains stopping at the station. Also, we have this little platform extension here, something that I've never seen before. So I guess they need trains to board on the central track today for some reason. Not sure why, but it's interesting. And finally, the Fairmount Line platform. This platform is also mostly low level, with a mini high level platform on the southern end. Connecting all these platforms is this pedestrian bridge, with the long ramps required to get down to the Northeast Corridor platforms.
Now, time for some rail fanning. Readville is one of the most popular rail fanning spots in Boston due to the variety of trains, high speeds, and great angles for taking photos. First up was a Stoughton inbound, with the Mario's Roofing cab car leading. Soon after, Acela Express 2173 flew through on the middle track. Then came a Franklin-Foxborough line outbound train. Followed by a next-gen Acela test train bound for Boston. Northeast Regional 86 flew through with a nice horn show. After this, L010 arrived with an SD40-2 and GP40-2 pair leading, and only 7 cars. They pulled into the siding and began reversing into Readville Yard. That's it for today's video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.